This episode we go into a middle distance race which was a few weeks after 70.3 Bolton to basically go and test out all our equipment on the right course for Ironman 6 weeks later, which is in August. And we cover a 7-day training camp in Mallorca in Palencia, where there were some highs, some lows, some really good testing, some heat adaptation, some skills in the water, some fueling, and most importantly how to eat around a training camp. So this episode's pretty packed with quite a lot of amazing footage. Stick around, please subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't seen the previous 8 episodes of Dan's Journey, feel free to scroll back, and it's pretty eye-opening so far. Enjoy it. We're 6 weeks out from Ironman Tallinn, which is a flat course in Estonia. I wanted to get a replica in a half Ironman or middle distance, doesn't have to be an M dot, to test equipment, to go out and actually just feel good, because the previous race he did in the north of England was just dreadful weather and mechanicals, and he had food poisoning. That was covered in the last episode, I won't go into that. He spent some more time in the TT position. He had his partner over from the Netherlands, she's Italian, so managed to do lots of cooking. So in a real good life place, if you like, you know, you're upbeat, everything's quite fun and relaxing. It's a couple of hours drive away, so we're headed to the middle of what's in the Cotswolds in the UK, and it was just a really well organised race. It's been going for years. I've done it myself, and Coach Felix came to take some photos and support and videos. I was tied up that weekend, so it was going to be a non-wetsuit swim, which is actually really good practice because he normally always wetsuit swims. So if race day comes in a full Ironman, you've at least practiced it. So non-wetsuit swim, so more or less the same sort of time, probably got out a minute slower. Really early start, warm water, and then a flat course with a little bit of elevation, about 500 meters, but let's call it flat basically for our our terminology in triathlon. And just managed to stay on the TT bars 90-95% of the time, execute a really smooth ride. There was traffic, there was some road issues, but we targeted 80 to 90 grams of carbohydrates an hour. Seems to be the buzz chat at the moment these days, 100 grams, 120 grams. We just wanted to be what we were going to do in the Ironman. It's going to be around there. What actually ended up happening, he was riding quicker than transpired in terms of planning. He rode at 2 hours 24 for the 90 Ks, which is a huge PB, partly due to the road, partly due to the bike, obviously in training, aerodynamics, and just executed really. So he actually took more, and he took closer to probably 100. His stomach was absolutely fine. So he made an executive decision there in the race, which is fantastic. He had great support. And so he's off the bike, you know, after transition, on the run within 2.5 hours. And then I know he's running really well. We knew he'd be around 1.5 hours for 1 hour 30 for the 21 Ks. There's a bit of off-road. We just, and a little bit of road, we targeted to hit pretty much 60-70 grams an hour. By then, fueling doesn't need to be as high. I know some people carry over 90, 100 to that. It's a short duration, and he ran at 129. I was really happy with that. He was stoked, he buzzed, he felt great all through the day. None of the lows that he had in 3 weeks before in Bolton. It's amazing how a little bit of time and a bit of extra training, and obviously and a happy stomach from no food poisoning in terms of energy levels. So we were stoked with that performance. Probably a huge, massive step in the right direction. 6 months of training. It's really good, just lay it all on the line. The training points to that direction, but then you sometimes don't know if you can execute it. A lot of people can't execute races very well. They can train exceptionally well. So he managed to tick the box, had some fun as well, big meal out, maybe I think they shared a bottle of wine, and afterwards, not during. And that was a few days before, 4 days before then we left for the training camp. So it was always a bit of a high level work into a recovery into then a week block, but it was all planned out. Okay, so what did the week entail? Let's get stuck into it, because I'm sure some of you are quite interested. I won't go into a blow by blow, hour by hour, but let's just break the week into kind of day 0 being the travel day into day 6, day 7, depending how you slice it. First day, 3 a.m. start, 6 a.m. flight out of Manchester. So it's always quite tricky to get your food right, budget airlines, and you kind of tired, but you're just excited as well to get over to the sunshine. So when we arrived midday, it was like 30, 31 degrees. So it's just an unpacking day, get the bike sorted. We can see the sea 50 meter, 80 meters away. We're quite keen to get into the beautiful warm weather and the warm sea just to do some basics. Okay, so we did an hour easy spin just to check that the bike was going in a straight line. Immediately we actually picked up something with the saddle, and it's a bolt issue that keeps dipping down the front end, and this is the most important thing really, to keep the bike fit as close to what we spent that whole time, that 3 hours with Matt Bottrell doing the aerodynamic fit. So that's quite a crucial thing to make sure everything's working. And we did an easy 1500 meter sea swim, mainly to loosen up, and we got stuck into they've got it like kind of like a spa place, but it's just mainly to do mobility, some stretching, some kind of hot cold, and also just loosen up off the travel and make sure we all lined up with our fueling and so forth for day one coming up really. And yeah, so all in all, just a really easy light day, getting stuck in ready for the dinner, the buffet dinner. As you can see, there's some pictures here of what's on offer, and all in all, yeah, really happy with how we managed to get over quite a baptism straight into the heat. But we had been doing some sauna work previously, so it wasn't such a shock, but it's still, your sweat rate goes up for 3 days. Your body needs to increase its blood plasma. Hydration becomes a real recovery theme, and you'll hear this through the video today that I'm going to chat to you about. There were some learnings and around body temperature. We looked at the core sensor, around the bike and the run. All right, day one, I was really excited about this because we're fresh. I wanted to get up at sunrise and head up to Cap Formentor, the Lighthouse Ride, which is right start of it in Pollença where we're staying. And it's not very far in duration, but it was a 2-hour ride, but you climb and drop and zigzag for about an hour and 20 minutes. As the sun's coming up, it's much cooler, there's a bit of shade, and I think a few cyclists had the same idea as we did and got the sun coming up in some of the most beautiful, spectacular roads, and it was just a really nice ease into the camp. I know Dan enjoyed it. We got some pictures at the top, and yeah, straight back down, ready for a big breakfast, because that day we were going to mainly do a sea swim. So we did a 1500 meter swim with some technical turns on the buoys, some sighting, and just got used to a bit of the swell. And it's really important because you swim in the pool at home, and it's quite different to what's behind me at with walls and lane ropes and no waves. So that was really cool. And big fuel again, nice lunch, quite simple because we had buffet breakfast and dinner, so the food in the day is quite simple. It's mainly just calories and hydration. Then we hit the gym for some strength work, 45 minutes. That's really important. We had time to recover and get the feet up. And so that was a really nice day one. All in all, super well executed, and we got the sunrise. It's absolutely beautiful. You'll see on the images on the camera roll here. It's just a nice way to spend the day. Day two, I really wanted to get stuck into one of the big hills that they use for the 70.3 in Mallorca, and just experience some really good switchbacks. And so we started with a 30-minute technical swim in the 33-meter pool at the little hotel resort we're staying. We're staying in Pollença, Cabot Pollença Cycle Hotel. It's got a cool bike storage that you can just have. There's bike pumps, and you could lock your bikes up at the bottom of the hotel. You don't have to take them into your rooms. And big breakfast, of course. So it was a 3-hour ride. He actually felt quite ropey on the climbs. It would have been just straight into the heat of Mallorca, and we're just not used to it. Day two, day three, so your body's still adapting. So it felt pretty average on the climbs. We came back probably cut off a little bit short. That's fine. We adjusted. We stopped for a bit of food, but then while we were loose and warm, we did 30 minutes nice and steady zone 2 run on the beachfront. Really hot, but actually felt totally fine. And so that was day two. Really good day. Some real good drills there that we're trying to work on since January, since we started. Under the water really needs attention, so the catch area, and then of course there's always just alignment to remember. So when you're on a camp, you generally feel quite ropey and tight in the water. It's just, I don't know if you've ever experienced going on a camp, you just never really have high energy first thing in the morning. So that was pretty evident, and we got through it. Sometimes you just have to turn up. 30% of the sessions aren't very exciting. Sometimes as a triathlete, you don't enjoy everything, you don't execute everything as well as you can. So it's really important to feel those days where you're just like, I'm just really feel like I'm going through the motion. So you shorten it, you change the set, you adjust as long as you keep turning up. Day 3 was actually an active recovery day. It was a Sunday and we just went firing on all 4 cylinders. So why push it? You've got to listen to the body. We readjusted the rest of the week. We had a bigger feed in the morning, rested a little bit. Then after lunch, we just hit the gym. It was a light session, 45 minutes. So we went through some movement patterns. It was great to see actually. And he's come a long way on since we started the gym work a few months earlier, proper executed gym work, not just go to the gym. And so really specific stuff for his body imbalances. And we did some loosen up stuff, bit of jacuzzi, bit of spa stuff. You don't get to do it when you're at home because you're always chasing the clock. Strength training always gets dropped, as you know, hey, as a triathlete. So that was just a reset day with a nap, a bigger meal at dinner, so we could then set up. On Monday we wanted to do a 6+ hour ride, so we try to hit sort of 300-400 grams of carbohydrates that evening in the buffet, and it's really easy when it's all prepped for you, and the vast variety of food is just killer. So loads of seafood, loads of proteins, and then of course there's always the desserts and all that stuff, which just generally makes you feel a bit ropey. So that wasn't always our first choice. So active recovery day. Day 4, Monday, wow, big day lined up. We wanted to do a 6-hour ride, about 140 Ks, big climbs. By the time we got out after, obviously we needed to have a big breakfast and get out, sort out a few issues with the bike and stuff. The main thing was to finish that strong and practice 90 grams an hour fueling and drinking exceptionally high volumes because of by the time we get out, it's 31, 32 degrees on the bike. So 2,500 meters of climbing, it ended up taking 6 hours 45. Nothing planned to go that long. Wow. There were some real hot patches on the bike that were mind-blowingly but warm, but we got some really good coverage of the roads, the S-bends, the downhills, the uphills, and then finished with some real good durability resilience. So being able to time trial, stay in the flat position after 6 hours where you just want to be off the bike, because an Ironman's only going to be between 5 and 5.5 hours. So that duration, we never really go that far. So it was a real test of mental. And of course, the body gets really tired. TT bike, your upper body's pretty tired. So that was pretty awesome to do and try and fuel. So how did today go?
It was very difficult.
That's not what you said to me 2 minutes ago.
I said it's horrible.
Good.
Horrible.
Are you sick of hills?
Yeah, I never want to do a hill again.
I think we did, I don't know, 2,500 meters maybe. 6 hours and
Almost 7.
almost 7 hours in the saddle.
Never again.
Day 5, okay, fatigue's starting to set in a little bit. So what I'd planned after the bigger ride on the previous day was to do a double run day. Pre-breakfast, so light snack, hydration, pre-breakfast when the sun is not at its full extent, and do some tempo heli work, which is perfect for an Ironman training. On the same Lighthouse Road, Cap Fermentor, the shade from the mountain, because the sun's rising in the east and it's sheltered a little bit. So 3 Ks up, then of course you come down and then along the flat to make up some time. I wanted to do around 15 Ks. And here's another classic example. We felt like we'd done everything right night before, preloading in the morning, hydration, obviously getting a little bit of calories in, but we cut the run short a little bit, 13 Ks. He was feeling great, no problem, but to have a pea color that's very dark, as in moving towards red, the kidneys aren't functioning great. So I had to pull the pin there, and actually we decided on a double run day that day. We're going to do a negative split later on that day in the warmer part of the day. We could use the core sensor to manage the body temperature, which we used in the long ride the day before. And actually really interesting, I didn't mention it in the previous section, was we know that once we go over like 38.5 degrees in the core temperature, moving towards 39, the body's working very hard. So we kept it under 39, more or less around 38.5 on the climbs on the bike. For the run in the morning, he was absolutely fine. body temperature was fine. We have live on the watch, which is a great, and we could just manage that. But actually, it wasn't that. There was the kidneys were just struggling from the day before. So there were some warning signs. We cut it short, and then all we did later on, when we'd recovered and had enough food and drunk, and the pee color was clearer, we just did some ins and outs. We did like a 1500 meter technical swim, really easy. Some boys, some drafting actually, and then we just did some ins and outs where you can first 25 meters really hard and then settle into rhythm, just to practice some race simulation. Again, we don't get to do that in a pool or sometimes in a training camp, so that was really cool. But again, we just had to adjust the day. So interesting findings this whole trip, and this is crucial for the development of the athlete, and also going into an Ironman Ironman race. What we know, the race itself is not going to be as hot as 30-31 degrees, so that's great. It's probably going to be around 23 to 25, and it's totally manageable. Cooling management is pretty much okay. So we turn it out into a recovery sea swim, and then we fight another day the next day. So day 5, I really wanted to get another decent swim bike run in, but with specifics on the bike into an Ironman pace run. So we started with a technical swim. He felt pretty flat, no problem. That's fairly expected. We did 1500 meters. Just did that in the pool actually. Did some drills. Went over some things that we'd learned from the few days before. It's just always great to get eyes on, and I don't get to do it enough as I'd like to. And big breakfast. Then we had a 3-hour ride, about 82 k's, and no real big hills at all. Fairly flat. Stayed in the bars. Fairly social out towards Alcudia, and then once you're out of the traffic and busy roads, we hit the TT position, and he did a lot of TT work and actually got really strong. His body position is really great. You can see his back position and his neck position here is just fantastic from a spine perspective. So he had good fueling all the way through, 90 grams an hour, and it was warm, but it was absolutely fine. Got back, we're like, right, let's do minimum 6K, see how we feel. If you could do 12 Ks off the bike, perfect. And the gold price was to do 15 Ks at around Ironman pace, but keeping check in heart rate, temperature's up, heart rate goes up, perceived effort goes up. So we weren't going on pace, we ignored that pace. It ended up 15 Ks, 447 per K, which was fantastic, and low 150s heart rate, so perfect Ironman heart rate. Quite interesting, when we stayed in the shade, which we found some shade along a pavement area, the body temperature dropped to below 39, which is manageable. But as soon as we were out in the heat and running at effort, it was, crept up to 38.5, up to 39, and we just had to watch that. So we kept that at bay, and all in all, he was strong throughout the day. He wanted to run more, and I actually pulled the pin at 15 Ks, which is like just over an hour and something. All in all, really strong finish to the camp, no issues and no hydration issues. So that was the main thing. All right, so the final day is a travel day, day 6, but there could have been time in the morning just to do some stuff, but actually sleep's more important to recover. So had a later start, a bigger breakfast, and then as always, we had packed the bike already, so that's all fine, but transfer, airport stuff. And to be honest with you, sometimes less is more, and finishing on a high and just using that as a rest day, and then the day after, once you're home, is just like an active day of mobility, stretching, a bit of walking, and of course he had to work, so that was the main thing. And all in all, I was really happy with how much we learnt, how much we covered. The food, that was a big highlight. We went out one night actually, forgot to mention, nice bit of calamari seafood platter, glass of red wine, and got to hang out as well with, together, and social stuff as well around training, which is really important. A bit hot at night, and that affected our sleep for the first few nights. We adjusted and managed the room a little bit better. But all these things, you've got so many factors to it. Looking at recovery, HRV, pee color in the morning, body weight we measured every morning. And on a couple of the climbs, I did some lactates as well. You'll see some of the images using the lactate meter just to see if we were under 4 millimoles, and we were in the 3s up the climb, so that's just in the perfect sort of between LT1 and LT2 in that sort of tempo range, not severe intensity, so totally controlled, and the heart rate matched that, so how you would probably climb in an Ironman. And and race. So that was important, bit of testing. We did some sweat rate testing as well for the run, and just using the scale and obviously some fluids, intake and outtake. And all in all, super positive camp. Lots got out of it and away from the British rain. All right, there you have it. In summary, we had a great race 6 weeks out, built the confidence, tested the equipment, made a few mistakes, worked on nutrition, fueling. Then we went away to a fairly hot climate that's going to be worse than race day, and came away with some huge gains. Our CTL on Training Peaks has shot up, and we've done some real good technical stuff in the water. All in all, happy coach, happy athlete, a tired athlete, and yeah, please follow the journey. There's 8 episodes before this. The next one coming up will probably be the actual Ironman that we're using as a learning race in Tallinn, Estonia in the end of August. So watch out for the next episode. I'd love it if you subscribed, leave some comments in the description below. Feel free to ask any questions. And if you're really liking what you see and you want to find out how you can do this, get in touch with me. Link in the description. Tell me what your motivation would be and why you want to get